Take care, Polly Wally.
And there is your dagger!
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
Sorry, KFAN.
Little hoop action.
Hell yes!
Hey, how you doing?
9 to noon.
9 to noon.
Time for two more?
And he's P.A.
You are one of the biggest suck-ups I know.
Oh, my.
Winter is coming.
Thank you, Minneapolis!
And thank each and every one of you for listening to FM 100.3 KFAN from the 651 Carpus Plus studios. Hello. It is a Talker Tuesday. I'm Paul Allen, and Nordo produces. When's the last time you didn't eat a bite of food for 24 hours? Because that's my lot in life right now. And akin to somebody like marking down the days until they get out of a certain situation.
Yeah.
I'm marking down hours until I can get into a cheeseburger or some type of a big old fat breakfast type food. And good morning.
Good morning. I had some humble beginnings, we'll say, down in North Mankato.
Mm-hmm.
I have not skipped a whole lot of meals since PA.
23 hours, Nordo.
I don't think I've ever, I can't remember since childhood the last time that I went 24 hours with some sort of food substance.
22 hours, 58 minutes, and 30 seconds, 29, 28, 27, 26, though.
But you can almost see the other side. It is indeed the countdown.
Yeah, somebody's 24 hours from seeing the other side.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fit for YouTube per se, but at some point you're gonna get up in there, and the GoPro's gonna tell the story. Mm-hmm. And everything's going to be cleaned out, and everything's going to be great again.
Yeah.
You're going to walk in, hot stepping Thursday morning.
Make that cavity great again.
Head in the clouds.
Right.
Loving, I mean, you'll feel 20 years younger about 24 hours from now.
Mm-hmm. And copyright Chevy Chase from Fletch. I probably will sing Moon River for the first time in my life because I'm getting a colonoscopy tomorrow. And for those of you who have had it, this will be my third. Today is colonoscopy prep day, which means we will be vigilant with it. This is colonoscopy number 3, and the first one since pre-pandemic. And the procedure for those of you who have prepped for it is, I mean, you got liquid diet, you got these pills, you got this Miralax. I mean, you got you just got a lot of things that are going to lead to some functioning uncomfortability that is my lot in life this day. So here's a question. Has anybody consistently cheated at colonoscopy prep and gotten away with it? Like mac and cheese, maybe a certain type of cereal, maybe Rice Krispies. Think about this. Rice Krispies with lime Gatorade. I mean, how good does that sound?
Well, it's just like when I get my kids going into the dentist.
Hey, get out of there, ma'am.
You try to put the fear of social shame in them a little bit. Like, hey, Stella, look, you can tell me all day that you're flossing. But the dentist is going to know.
Make my crevice great again.
The dentist is going to know, Stella. So get it together and start flossing. Right. Go back in there, be honest with yourself, and floss.
I love it.
Similarly,
floss.
The colon ain't going to lie.
Do you floss?
Yes.
I think I've flossed 3 times in my life.
I floss because I got a couple of gaps that I guess now we're going hardcore gross on a Tuesday morning.
Well, when the sun goes down, what happens to your gang?
Whenever it gets bigger.
Welcome back to the show.
Anytime I eat whether it's beef or pork or anything like that. I got to get that out of there. But
Yeah.
when you roll into the doctor and they look you in the eyes and they say you followed the protocols and all that, and you say, yes, of course, doctor, this is a very serious thing.
Of course.
And they take a peek in there and they see Mexican Jell-O and some Kraft mac and cheese.
Now
in the
you
mix.
stop that.
They're going to know that you're a fraud.
Right.
So the colon doesn't lie. I think you got to stick it out.
And you got to come back next week. Yeah, sure I do. I ain't coming back next week.
You're going to be an octave higher.
Hey, ma'am, get out of there. The anesthesia hasn't set in yet.
Welcome back to the show.
All right, so if you're a person of prayer, pray that everything goes okay for your buddy Paul Allen, and here we are. What's cooking today, 9 to noon? First day of pads for your Minnesota Vikings. Yesterday, it was nondescript, which is good news because it means no ACLs exploded and no starters left with injuries. One-on-ones are today, I think. A test of manlyhood. Those who lack confidence, well, they're going to get bludgeoned. About the biggest decision I have to make today is after taking the first two Dulcolax pills after 9 to noon, do I head to Minnesota Vikings practice and memorize numbers and body types for the Life Changer August 10th, not really knowing, like, bodily what's going to be happening when I'm at Vikings training camp, or if I don't go, then I can go tomorrow. Here's what's interesting.
Welcome back to the show.
The colonoscopy is at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, and so when I apprised management, or when I informed management that was the time, Abbott said, "Good, you can get back in time for Vikes Bites."
I always love that.
Well, in all seriousness, are you willing to call in after the procedure and give us a full breakdown of how everything went?
I bet you we can coerce the endoscopy or the person who does it to probably call in during said scenario and provide you with some old play-by-play. But here's your biggest decision. If it takes place at 8:40, that's before the show.
It is. So we can pre-record. We're flexible
but
here.
You have to determine if it's going to be self-contained, or if while she is digging, you're just throwing to something.
I always love that one.
Yeah, we're
Big determination there.
throw in and out of it. Abbott, this is going to need an open. It's going to need a close.
Right.
Literally and figuratively in this particular case.
Well, colonoscopy is at 8:30. You can get back in time for Vikes Bites. Yeah, but the anesthesia will not have worn off. Okay, bet.
I always love that one.
That's my lot in life. So one-on-ones, I think, are today. They weren't yesterday, but I think they're today. Darisaw versus Turner.
Oh,
Grenard charging O'Neal. Maybe some goal line drills where they slam into each other down by the old goal stripe. And those of the woke variety head to Twitter to complain about the contact, the hope that the National Football League is shut down.
Oh my gosh, can you above average at that?
Common Antenna B will be out at Minnesota Vikings training camp today. TCOPC, yeah, you know them. And they'll be there from noon until 3 for the walkthrough in the first 30 minutes of practice. Yesterday, Darnold fine, McCarthy fine. He's JJ! Tunyon fine, defense fine. Ben Gessling covers all of it for the Star Tribune. He's in studio at 10. Young Alec joins Thursday. I did a podcast with Alec Lewis yesterday. You can learn more about that at Alec_Lewis via the tweet machine. If you would like to listen back to his giggles and incessant blurting of, we're back, everybody's back, we're back. We're hopping and skipping out there at training camp, even though it's hot, because we're back. YA joins the mix on Thursday, and we're thankful for those two gifted young men because they sweat out every single practice, and it was hot yesterday. Welcome to you're welcome to offer up Vikings related questions if you are so inclined at the text spot. That's 64686. We can sprinkle them in during the course of the presentation, and gives main man Nordo something to do, and we'll do our very best to oblige. And I said it before, and I'll say it again. This is a by faith approach to a Minnesota Vikings season until we get to MetLife and start playing some games.
Vox.
Like by faith, with Darnold at quarterback, he'll fit wonderfully because his skill guys are sweet and high end and the system is strong. By faith, those who operated Brian Flores' defense last year will be even more secure in the demands this year. And the newbies won't take like 2 months to figure it out. By faith, this ridiculous kickoff rule is fun. I mean, and we figure out what the potential 12th man in the game means, and that there's a third out of bounds line known as the 20-yard line when straddled.
I always love that one.
I mean, seriously, seriously.
We can't figure out the straddle here for clocks and timing 9 to noon. How are we going to figure out the straddle in an NFL kickoff?
Right. The punter, the plus size punter, by the way, he's in a legit battle with Seth Vernon, who was a receiver in college and runs like the wind. My man runs like the wind. So, do you want a punter who can pass or a punter who can run? I don't really care about either of those equations. I just want a punter that finds the Coleman corner and pins somebody inside the 10 each and every time.
Hardcore football.
Can Kene-Wanwu play tailback? Is that a trick they are going to attempt to expose again? Or is he kept for the video game kickoff play, even if returners never may touch the ball and or have to deal with bouncing line drives? Maybe the answer is finding football players who were accomplished shortstops at one stage of their lives so they can field the worm burner, scoop it up, and head to the end zone with alacrity and aplomb. Brock Faber received a sweet deal. He joins 9 to noon, about 11:45. Softy from Seattle is our Friends on Foes guest today at 11. He will be bombastic as ever, and we will get out of the way and just let him blow hard. All right, 3-2. We'll get out of the way and just let him talk. I will wonder if his Super Chickens are going to run last in the NFC West, and he'll smash me with, the Vikings have a better chance at finishing last than my Seahawks. Okay. Somebody undoubtedly will ask O'Connell at a press conference if he's going to force McCarthy into games, even if he's not ready to play, because Kevin and Kwesi are in their third year of 4-year packs. And, the insinuation is one wouldn't do what's best for the team because they're worried about themselves and instead would sabotage the plan to potentially secure a longer tenure here. People actually think like that, which is super special.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, with the kickoff clip, some teams are being admonished. There was admonishing around the National Football League yesterday and over the weekend. Why? Because they're not putting the ball on the tee the correct way. I mean, this whole thing is just so stupid and super duper special. Landing zones and straddling the 20. And I mean, what's Seattle? If a 12th man is permitted on the field on kickoffs and kick returns and stuff, I mean, what the heck are they going to do in Seattle? Are they going to change their name to the 13s?
I always love that one.
I mean, seriously, the kickoff clip. And people trying to put the ball on the tee in oblong fashion to kick knuckleballs. Well, the NFL's just really squared away with this thing. Well done, boys. Vikes Bites are next, and that's where yours truly gets peppered with a verbal version of 64686, and we attempt to build this thing together while standing strong forever. Thank you, Timber Tech. Thank you, Jesse Singh. And thank all of you for listening to 9 to Noon.
9 to noon. Vikes Bites.
Vikes Bites brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. And you can go to thousandhillslifetimegrazed.com, learn more about regenerative agriculture, an elite product from Matt and everybody. It's a Clearwater, Minnesota company. And you can shop online or you can go to your local co-op, your local Coburns locations. They support local athletes, trying to keep the good ones local. Love that. And you can learn more. Thank you, Thousand Hills. And boom! You'll be hearing that sound in the doctor's office tomorrow around 8:30 a.m. And boom! I'm going to wear that thing out tomorrow. I can't wait to do it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have mentioned that on the radio today. Perchance Cotton John, my next door neighbor, one of my best friends, is listening because tonight undoubtedly will be the night for the first time in 2 years. He whips out the grill. He whips out the grill all the time. He's very good. He's like you. He's an accomplished barbecue specialist. And but he'll probably make like 10 Juicy Lucy's.
Oh.
And they'll just be perfectly made and like a little seared on the outside. And they'll come, hey, you know what? Even though I haven't offered this up in 2 years, I'd like to bring 5 over to your house, knowing that I would eat 3 on a day I can't eat diseased. And
let's start with some audio from Jonathan Grenard. Here he is yesterday talking about Brian Flores and the defense.
I think in general, he just wants everybody to be aggressive. Just establishing a new line of scrimmage, create negative plays so that way, like I said, we can dial it up when he wants to. We don't do that. I handle our job by stopping the run on first, second down. Then we can't get to things we want to see. So just establishing a new identity to the defense and being more aggressive, playing on their side of the ball is what we all trying to do.
So that was Jonathan Grenard talking about the defense. Now, Jonathan Grenard, you mentioned getting the pads on, PA, and what that looks like now in terms of finally getting to see these guys hitting each other a bit. But you mentioned the idea that one-on-ones are going to be taking place today. So I saw this on a podcast. It was Jonathan Grenard, and I think he was joining Chris Long. And here he is talking specifically about Dallas Turner. And after the Vikings draft Dallas Turner, Grenard's here, new member of the Minnesota Vikings. Some people were talking about his time in Houston and kind of the mentoring of Will Anderson, fellow former Alabama Crimson Tide defensive stud, goes top 5 and making plays his rookie season for the Texans.
Yep.
So here he is talking. It's about 90 seconds. Him talking with Chris Long about what he looks for in Dallas Turner.
Turner, really high hip guy, long strider, different kind of guy.
Yep.
What do you see from him as far as his development's concerned, and what are the kind of moves he's got in his toolbox that kind of wow you early?
Sure, yeah. We kind of built similar-ish. You know what I'm saying? I got long legs, long limbs. He's same thing, short torso type build. But my main thing is the same thing with him. You run a 4.4. You need to get up on them fast. Like, you try to get here, and that's why, you see all these different, workout videos where guys do these pass rush and stuff. Like, yeah, it's cool to work these moves, but I say you work these, but you have to work while still gaining ground, and everything's going to be set up off of this power. You got these insanely long arms. If your first move is not a long arm or some type of power to make them respect your length and then give you the hands, then you're just going to be sitting there trying to work on moves. And as we know, tackles don't throw their hands. They're sitting there waiting on you to throw your moves now, so they can just sit there and grab. So I said, look, use that to your advantage. If they want to be that outside hand puncher guy, run through their chest. And then you get what you want. Everything's not going to come right this and there to look for a pretty sack. I don't win pretty. Everybody knows I don't win clean, pretty rushes. I don't like them. I mean, I feel like that gives them more chances to come back and recover. I'm like, nah, I want you to be able – that's why you mentioned short my edge. So if I'm going to throw it up, if I don't care. A sack is a sack. Ball is out. I just need to be within arm's reach so I can tip the ball out. I had a couple times where I talked to him, listen, change your mindset of just going for it, wrapping the quarterback up to, hey, all you got to do is get the ball out. So whatever that radius is between your length, between you setting up a stab to shorten that edge, you don't have to necessarily just win a perfect clean rush. Quarterback standing right there while you still got a guy on your arm, knock the ball out. Simple stuff like that. So,
well, that explanation.
Can you repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Jonathan Grenard is an elite football mind.
Yeah, he is, and that's what you're talking about, the one-on-ones today, PA. Seeing that speed, right? The Dallas Turner. Okay, so we've talked about in whether it was last week with Alec Lewis in studio. You say Kwesi's playing fast right now, and that amounted to a half-hour-long conversation about the tale of two Kwesis, the financial stability that has been brought, teams trying to get younger.
That was fun.
So we can check some boxes there, but still ultimately these draft picks got to come through. And I look at it in that vein, PA, would you agree or disagree? Am I overgeneralizing it or being too harsh with the fact that if Dallas Turner is healthy, if we're talking about hitting on draft picks, Dallas Turner must show all of that speed that Grenard was talking about, all of that skill and those moves. Dallas Turner, if healthy, for the sake of winning on draft picks, absolutely must be a defensive rookie of the year candidate.
Well, I'm not the biggest absolute guy in the world. So for Dallas, he's favored to win defensive rookie of the year. He's going to play a lot. His bookender is quite accomplished. The unpredictability of where he's going to play in certain situations, I think specifically early in the season will aid Dallas Turner. But it's, the The fan has learned there will be a 2025 National Football League season. So therefore, however Dallas cuts his metaphorical teeth this year, hopefully it's really good, and hopefully it continues to get better because, I mean, quite honestly, while some will focus on the Defensive Rookie of the Year award, Dallas has his sights set on HOF.
Oh my gosh, can you above average at that?
And boom! Couldn't find the CSI Miami thing fast enough for the Dallas HOF.
What was his name?
Who? Horatio Kane.
Horatio Kane. That's what it was.
Horatio Kane.
Sunglasses on, the quick turn and the exit.
The bomb.
No, absolutely.
And, the blonde forensic scientist, Callie Duquesne. The bomb. No, they were the bomb. I'm not kidding you. And I think I've told you this before. I've said it on the radio. Maybe I haven't. But laying around with my daughter, Nicole, and watching CSI Miami, Criminal Minds, and shows like that. I mean, we watched a lot of them. Well, she's getting into forensic science as a psychology and criminology double major at the University of Colorado. So she wants to do forensic science.
She wants to be Callie Duquesne?
She wants to analyze the minds of criminals. Wow. And in fact, she has an internship / a job right now at a behavioral science spot right outside of Boulder. That's very interesting, some of the stories she tells me. So the best laid plans, well, you have no idea where they're going to go. Wah!
Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites, thank you, Thousand Hills. Duke Shelley, he says this defense is completely different than what he experienced in 2022. Donatel.
Totally different defense. Flores very creative, like I said. A lot of different things he want to do, a lot of different looks he want to bring. So it's very just a creative defense, as I could say. Like, I haven't been a part of a defense like this creative and this opportunity to make as many plays. So I think it's going to be good for my skill set for sure.
More from Duke, working in camp, what he's trying to accomplish.
Just making plays, man. Whenever your number get called on, just go out there and make plays. That's the biggest thing. So right now with me, I'm just trying to just learn the defense. So when I go out there, I'm not really thinking. I'm just going out there playing. So that's the biggest thing with me right now.
So whether it's the Duke is on fire. Number 29 is out there running around. Number 1 is in Shaq Griffin, will be running around again, but I don't believe he was participating in earnest yesterday.
Nope.
Enter the equation, Bobby Kane. Here he is on getting the call and what he experienced earlier in his career with Brian Flores' defense.
I got the call coming Friday. Me and Flo been in contact a little bit, but I got the call and I was ready to go. I'm grateful for the opportunity. His play style is very aggressive. You're going to bring the energy. You got to be good tacklers, blitzers. You got to be a good blitzer and good in open space. And, I'd like to hang my hat on all those.
Land of opportunity, PA. I'm watching a video yesterday from practice, and you see Jalen Naylor running by the entire secondary en route to a long touchdown. Am I just excited about Speedy, or should I in some ways keep in perspective the land of opportunity with this defensive back group?
Love the question with a Naylor, and because he's bigger. Jalen, he's growing and maturing as a young man, physically, mentally, and with everything in between. But he's bigger, he's stronger, and you could see that at training camp with the way he gets off the line of scrimmage. It wasn't anything noteworthy to me yesterday with the parts that I watched. But Jalen might be the fastest guy on the team. Now that Dan Chisena's a gunner elsewhere, Jalen Naylor's incredibly fast at 40, 60, and 100 yards and so on. So now coming through with an opportunity that will be presented to him, that's why, like when you hear Chris Kuper, the offensive line coach, 15 minutes from now or whatever, you'll hear him talk about offensive linemen going into pads for the first time, and it really is. It's analogous to the rest of the team. That this is where that rubber meets the road. Where you've looked really good with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. What about the rest of the alphabet, man? Because that's where it starts to get physical, and those who lack confidence in executing their toil will get beat.
Let me pause here. It's Vikes Bites presented by Thousand Hills. When we come back, I have some more questions based on the first day of pads, PA.
Yeah.
And a couple of things that stood out, or maybe in these particular person's case, did not stand out at camp. And as you mentioned, we're going to get to hear from Chris Kuper. You tracked him down yesterday, the O-line coach at training camp.
This is 9 to noon. It's 9:29. Our friends on foes today, I think we're down to 3 teams. We handled the Super Chickens. 90 minutes from now, that would be the Seattle Seahawks for those new to the listening covenant. And Dave Softy Maller, Softy from KJR in Seattle, joins at 11. Don't miss that. You'll dig it. Hey, with the 2 Pop-Tarts that I ate at 8:29 this morning honestly feel like the last pieces of food I'm ever going to eat in my life. And Johnny the Mouse Mickelson, captain of the 83 Wayzata Club hockey team, the most formidable club hockey team in the history of the state of hockey, and Mouse wore the C. He just sent me a message regarding the procedure tomorrow. You hope your doctor is an ex-punter who knows how to find the colon corner.
I always love that one.
Oh, my man's brilliant. What were the learned minds? What were the what were the learned minds saying about the day one of pads on practice? When you look at Twitter, I say social media, but for me, all it is Twitter. That's my only social media vibe. So when crafting, what are the learned football minds saying about day one of pads practice? It behooves us to begin with YA, young Alec Lewis, and at Alec_Lewis is where you can find him via Twitter. And he writes, pretty nice ball from J.J. McCarthy, fitting it into a window on a Nick Muse crosser. Got a high 5 from KOC afterward.
Oh my gosh.
The tweet's perfect. Okay, I was going to say, but then the emotional wherewithal comes in it. High fives for everybody, says Kevin O'Connell. The tweet's perfect. The tweet's brilliant. He also tweeted at Alec_Lewis. Lewis Seen was out on practice field today, but again, not in uniform. Malik Knowles in workout clothes, too. Shaq Griffin was out there watching, too, and walking very well. Meanwhile, TJ Hawkinson was doing some pretty aggressive sprints. He looks great. I didn't know young Alec was an expert on gait, like how somebody walks and whether they're walking very well. I mean, a hitch and the giddy up is one thing, but that's just good to know about weekly guest 9 to noon. He's an expert of everything that involves gait. And finally, at Alec_Lewis, learning football minds, watching pads on practice. Vikings second-year DB Jay Ward was mixing in at corner today. Has played mostly safety since getting here, so definitely interesting given position depth. What are we thinking about old Jay Ward, the Swiss Army knife in his second year from Louisiana State University, mixing in at corner the con?
It is the land of opportunity. And Jay Ward, a year ago this time, pondering kind of the idea of why guys were selected to accomplish certain roles, to fill certain roles, I should say, and what they can offer. And so we dug in a year ago to the kind of is there something underrated here? Is there something, and then mixing and matching it with Brian Flores, where Brian Flores is new to the mix. You assume that something had caught a glimmer in Mr. Flores' eye as to why Jay Williams was in the mix. Now, with that said, the fact that we didn't see him doing anything except for special teams, we can joke now a year later that basically the only time he popped was when there was a false start on some sort of kick, and all of that included. But the land of opportunity is so flush and flourishing right now, given injuries and given the lack of availability, and given a situation and a position that has had a dearth of talent now for a couple of years. So whether the Duke is on fire, whether we have Jay Ward, not Jay Williams, doing safety and doing work at corner, find anybody that freaking works right now, Mr. Flores, and I think that's part of it. That's cool. Now the one thing that I was seeing, what people are saying about the first day of pads, they were kind of wondering what's up with the guy who wasn't wearing pads yesterday, PA. Lewis Seen. It was seen out of pads. And that's been, he's kind of been on the sidelines the last few days in a row, PA. Saucy and I were there on Saturday and watching walk. He wasn't even participating in the walkthrough. He was standing under the upright while the backups and the reserves were doing their thing. And yesterday, first day of pads, you had some guys with some nicks and some injuries and all of that. And then he just had Lewis Seton hanging out, a guy who's maybe his NFL life, or at least his time on the Vikings roster, is really up much for debate at this moment of camp.
He, when it comes to contractually or his lot in life in the National Football League, young Lewis is hoping that...
Time for 2 more?
Yeah, he's looking for 2 more years. Cornerback Duke Shelley, this is from @VikingsNationMN. @VikingsNationMN. Cornerback Duke Shelley. The Duke. We know the Duke is on fire. Cornerback Duke Shelley of your favorite football team, the Minnesota Vikings. He was out there running around. He wasn't on the sideline. He wasn't wondering what his lot in life was. @VikingsNationMN, cornerback Duke Shelley thinks the #Vikings have the best fan base in the NFL. What do you think of that? Best fan base in the NFL, says the Duke.
I think we do. I mean, it's good. I mean, it's all, of course, it's beauty in the eye of what's directly in front of you. We are in the cornfields. I'm eating my mild salsa and my tater tot hot dish, and I grew up a Vikings fan. Here I am. But I would say from a loyalty standpoint, from a buy-in standpoint,
the Duke gets it.
I think the Duke absolutely gets it, and he has acclimated himself beautifully. He has worn his way into the hearts of Vikings fans in the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
So do your thing, Duke.
It's the land of opportunity with the cornerbacks. Let's see. Last one. @TPP Skull. I think this is our aggregating friends at Purple Persuasion. @TPP Skull. #Vikings rookie OLB, Dallas Turner, has had a solid start to camp, but was stonewalled multiple times in practice today by star left tackle Christian Darrisaw. Per Will Raggets with Sports Illustrated. Christian Darrisaw plays on the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. The boss of the Minnesota Moving Company is a man named Chris Kuper. And like all coaches around the NFL, he got a month and change to forget about the shield. So I'm like, the Coop is on fire. Do anything interesting or fun during that time?
So I traveled quite a bit.
Nice.
As far as interesting, it'd be interesting to people that I traveled to Alaska, which is my home state.
Right.
I have a camp back there every year,
Nice.
O-line, D-line camp.
Yeah.
It's a free deal, so we get anywhere between 70 and 90 kids. Some years, upwards of 100, 110. 3-day camp, just doing O-line, D-line drills. And then, back in Minnesota for a little bit, my son was playing AAA baseball, started getting through some of those tournaments. And then we went back, my whole family went to Denver to go visit some family.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the break, my little brother got married in Seattle, so we were out there for that.
What about Bismarck?
We did not make it out there.
Oh, excuse me, not Bismarck, Grand Forks. What about Grand Forks? You go up there and,
I did not. I actually did they had an alumni golf tournament here at Legends in Prior Lake.
Yeah.
So I saw some guys from
that was
from
sweet.
UND back.
Yeah, I was at that. That was cool, too. Once again, Chris Kuper, third-year coach of the Minnesota Moving Companies, the offensive line coach. And, we've called the Vikings offensive line the Minnesota Moving Company for 2 decades plus. And the moving man part with guys, current roster, 317 and less. Is it a speed meets size equation for you, with part of the group you have?
For offensive linemen, you're talking about their actual weight?
Yeah. Or is 317 for a guard in this day and age of the NFL? Is that good?
It's kind of standard now.
Right.
So more so for me, whether or not you can move with that weight is what matters. So the number on the scale could say 325, but if you move as well as the guy behind you or next to you that's 310, I don't have a problem with that, because mass, you can't teach it, right? There's things you can teach technique-wise, concept-wise, but size, length, athletic ability, stuff you can't teach, so you try to bottle it up.
Right. And with pads going on yesterday, this is airing Tuesday, when the pads go on with teams at training camp around the National Football League, I don't want to overstate it, but it's a cool day. It's a big time. It's where the rubber meets the road. It's where, the first and second rounders over the course of time were fast and have all the measurables. Then they get hit. And then you never hear from them again. So what excites you about this time of the year as an offensive line coach?
Well, specifically for our position, O-line, D-line, I'm sure, the interior five, the front seven of the defense feels the same way, is that I get a good idea of how a guy moves in shorts with no pads on, but because we're limited on the amount of times we can actually wear pads, I think it's 10 in training camp, and Josh McCown and I were joking when we were playing, you might have got to your 10th padded practice after 7 days.
Yeah. And that was the first of 2-a-days,
right,
maybe.
Right, yeah. So these practices are important. One, for evaluation, and two, to get the guys in shape. Some coaches like to say callus. There is some kind of callus being understood that you can work through this soreness. Is it pain? Is it soreness? Is it an injury? Is it something that you're going to be out for? But the point is, you got to find a way to fight through this stuff. If you're just hurt, it's not an injury, right? We're going to have to play through this throughout the season. So this is kind of the time of year where you get a little taste of it, and then as camp goes on, guys get beat up, and then they're starting to play through some stuff. It's part of the training camp that you can run every sprint you want. You can do every dynamic warm-up you want, agility drill you want. The thing you can't do is push on a 330-pound guy every down.
Right.
And that's what you can't train for. So this is getting into football shape as well.
Well, Coop, you say like 317, whatever, at a guard. That's kind of standard operating procedure. Linebackers are smaller than they used to be and faster, stuff like that. Yeah. So, things are going to morph and things are going to evolve. Garrett Bradbury, he started 5 years at center playing around 305, 310. What are some things with his game you consistently like with Garrett?
First, I like the way the guy sees football. He's a smart player. I like the way he anticipates things, and those three things: being smart, having athleticism, and anticipation, meaning he's got full digestion of the offense. It allows him to do some things. When you say he's maybe undersized for the game now at 305, it allows him to do things and operate in a way that he's anticipating stuff. So he's on you faster than you know he's going to be on you. There's some things that we can do with him that he's capable of doing that maybe another center in the NFL is not capable of doing. So you'd have to change some stuff up.
Right, and not every center, not every interior offensive lineman, correct me if I'm wrong, fits every offense, right?
No, for sure.
Yeah, if you're running wide, running a lot of zone stuff, and getting players in space, as opposed to power running vertical passing game, those would, like when you played at Denver, you had a Pro Bowl year and then you got hurt, or during the course of that year, I believe that's what it was. Like what size did you play at, and what was important to you, say 10, 11, 12 years ago compared to now?
Yeah, so I came in to similarly to how the group that I took over, kind of a West Coast Shanahan type offense, with Kubiak and those guys. So that's the system I was drafted in. And I was hovering around 295 to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And I was one of the bigger guys at that point on our O-line. I'm talking about a 15 deep O-line. There might have been one other guy over 300. But that's changed. Most of these guys are coming out minimum 300, and it's 300 plus. As my career wore on, I had to fit into other systems. So, we hired Josh McDaniels after Coach Shanahan got fired, and he wanted to change the run game. He wanted me to weigh 312 pounds. Mm-hmm. It was really difficult for me to keep that up.
But you got to eat.
Yeah, I promise you, I was never at 312. I was always around 305, 310, just to where I didn't get fined because my body didn't recover the same way. So you have to be smart about how you set these players' weights. What can they handle? Are they going to be able to handle 17 games like this? What's the recovery for them after, especially playing on turf? We play a lot of games on turf.
Yep. Darisaw often is compared to 49ers left tackle Trent Brown, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Do you see it?
Trent Williams.
Trent Williams, thank you. All right, 3-2. Darisaw often is compared to 49ers left tackle Trent Williams, who will be HOF. So, facets of Trent's game and Darisaw at this stage of his career, what do you see it?
I see some likeness to their game. I think both of them have unique power for a left tackle. A lot of times in my experience in the past has been, You have a more athletic, people want to call him a finesse guy out there, but those two guys are different. So they bring a different element to their game. And to being able to use that is, they both can move like really well too. So those are what people see. Their game is different for sure, but they have a lot of the same traits. And anytime you're comparing a guy to Trent Williams, right, you're going down the right path if that's the player you're talking about, right? So we got some things to grow to get there, right? Trent's dang near 40 years old. He's been doing this a long time. I think that's the goal for a lot of these guys to want to play as long as that, and to be able to put what Trent's put out there for as long as he has. That's a special player.
Now, when pads go on, so Monday yesterday, and for the X amount you get during training camp, then you go to Cleveland, take on Stefanski's bunch with Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and Dalvin Tomlinson, and so on. Very physical group. That's going to be a lot of fun. But the eye openers for the youngsters. Okay, so with Walter Rouse, drafted offensive lineman, started a bunch of games at Stanford, left tackle at OU, right?
Oklahoma,
yeah, and it's what I heard about him from either people here or outside who I respect is he's a people mover and he doesn't get knocked back much. That's great. Well, now pads go on against veterans. Some of them, thinking they're on their last veteran minimum deal, and they're mad.
Yeah.
How exciting is that?
No, that's where I get to see what I really have in that room.
Yeah.
I have a really good idea about 8 to 9 players. Those are the guys that I've had in the past.
Yes, sir.
The guys that I'm not so sure about are the new guys that have come into the room. Right. So that's going to be the moment for them where it's, all right, this is a little bit different than Oklahoma. This is different than Wake Forest or whatever college they went to. That's what I'm waiting to see. That's what I need to see out of the young players. That's what I want to see out of that first group too.
Is training camp your offensive line versus Flores defense? Then the joints 2 against Cleveland. How much more do those matter to the evaluation than the preseason games, or do they not?
No, they do. Just the way that we handle the preseason games, we're, right now, as you said, it's the Vikings versus the Vikings. So that's what we're looking at. That's how we're evaluating. The other thing you get when you play a different team is this is going to be a different front structure in Cleveland. There's going to be a different technique out of the front, and then there's going to be different players. Some better, some not. But what it does give you is a chance to evaluate against a different defense. Because we're going to see a litany of different fronts throughout the year. So give us a look at a 4-down front where we've been playing against Flo's defense was typically 5 on the line or 3-4 personnel. So it's really good to get it out there because it feels like a game when you're out in those joint practices. There's a little bit more anxiety going into practice.
And Chris, go. I mean, last year, obviously everybody was figuring things out. Brian was new here, the 7 across the line. I mean, just a lot of new things. Well, now him and the staff, to a certain extent, a lot of the players, a couple of years together, and the routine of it, and the cohesiveness of it, obviously, is what leads to high-end productivity. And my point being here, generally speaking, not necessarily your moving company, but just an offensive line against a Flores defense. Where does he put stress for an offensive lineman you don't see consistently?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stress between the ears, meaning because the pre-snap picture is not going to look like the post-snap. There's going to be people moving in and out. There's going to be movement in the front. So if you're game planning against a Flores defense, which technically we're playing against them every day. There's going to be some things that are going to stress you out mentally. There's going to be some because the way that we installed this and the way that it looked like on the field, that's because they brought the strong safety or they had everybody up in the line of scrimmage. And so what it does give us is once we hit the season is we've seen every look under the sun. All right, we're going to have a lot of time on task, either run blocking, pass blocking, these different front structures, these different all-out blitzes or drop an 8. So what it does give us is some things that we typically wouldn't be able to work on until we had to play a Flores defense in season. Well, now we've seen dang near everything you can see throughout the league, and we got reps on them.
Yeah.
Right?
Last one here. Rookie offensive lineman Michael Juergens. Do you think that there's a better than fair chance he will be a starting center in the National Football League one day?
Yeah, I mean that's why we drafted him. And just like today, like this is going to be a big evaluation process because we can do all the work from college and say, man, if he does this in the NFL, we got a player here.
Wow.
Right? What Michael has done since he's got here is absorb, digest, and really became immersed in the offense, asking the right questions. So he's hitting all the marks on that. So now we got to see how we perform when the lights are on, when the pads are on, and it's 50 to 75 snaps.
Yeah.
Can you do it for a whole game?
And I don't follow college football closely during the season. I just don't have time. But I know a lot of people at this stage of my career who do follow it very closely, and I trust them. And when I asked about Jerkins, the first thing the guy said was tough. Plays through injuries. Like, I'm not saying it was a questionable, a doubtful. I don't play that. Well, college doesn't even play that game. But the guy said he plays through injuries, which man, not everybody does that.
No, that's what we're hunting here is tough guys in our room. We have a meeting every year, sometimes twice a year on the standard of doing business in our room. And that's part of it is the toughness. Also being accountable to the guy next to you, because if he can't count on you being in there, his job's affected. So as long as we keep adding players like that into our room, we're gonna have a great room for years to come.
And last one, I promise. Your new assistant, I want to hear about him.
Yeah.
It's Sean Surratt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Surratt. Sean Surratt, who was with the Chargers the last 3 seasons, new assistant for Chris. He's the right-hand man for the moving company. His nickname as an offensive lineman at Kent State was Sweet Feet.
Yep.
So Wikipedia was right. What are some keys to fulfilling the role as your assistant offensive line coach?
For me,
all right, 3-2.
A couple of things is, am I going to be able to trust the guy, which I knew right away. I got some background experience.
Yeah.
Am I be able to trust them, with what we're teaching, being able to handle, a group of guys when we do split work. The thing that I got in Sean is I got an O-line coach. I'm talking about a head O-line coach. He's done this before.
Yep.
He's done this in the past on his own.
Steelers, right?
Yes. So I get another set of eyes. That's kind of my checks and balances. Like, hey, am I doing this the right way? Like, should I say this in a different way? Should I be teaching this guy another thing? And so when you have somebody that you trust and you trust what they see, and also there's no, there's not going to be any, sensitivity when we're going back and forth on what we want to do, what's the right thing to do. As long as you have that, in which I do in a guy like Sean, I feel confident with him, running any meeting, as we get to know each other, as he digests the offense, because he's learning the offense too. But he's done a great job with these rookies, running the rookie meetings at night and keeping them on task. And we've seen the fruits of his labor out here early in camp, these guys understanding the concepts and being able to operate out there, meaning they're going to get on the field a little bit faster than they typically would when we got first and second group getting the majority of the reps. Now I can sprinkle in a guy here and there because he understands it, because Sean's been doing extra outside of that room for us.
The Coop is on fire. Chris Kuper, offensive line coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Over to Ben Gessling, who covers the team for the Strib. He's the scribe, and that's next.